situation would be worse, which is a sort of frightening thought when you think about it. The truth of the matter is it's an incredibly complex region. It's a region that is bound and in many ways tortured by history. And that includes the U.S. history in the Middle East. In other words, we can't go in there with a blank slate. We have former commitments, we have former actions, we have alliances, we have traditional rivalry. So it's so hard to come up with a successful foreign policy in the Middle East because there are so many competing elements.
And there's an issue of trust involved in all of this as well. And there's a couple of things going on here. Number one, the Iran nuclear deal. A lot of people say, well, that's a good thing, that's a bad thing. The politicians will weed that out. But the president withdrew from that. And so the Iranians have no reason really to enter into other agreements at that point going forward. Then there were the internal workings of Iran, which they were having a lot of issues internally. We saw video of thousands of people in the streets in Iran over the last number of weeks because they were upset about what's going on in the government. Now they're out by the thousands mourning General Soleimani as a result of what's going on, going from anti-government to pro-government against the United States. How does this complicate what needs to happen?
Well, it does. I mean, look, surely the Soleimani killing created in Iran what you'd call a rally around the flag effect. This is true of any country which is attacked. Doesn't necessarily mean that all the people that were mourning Soleimani are great fans of the Iranian government, but it does mean that they're nationalists and they're very proud of being Iranian, and they consider his killing an affront to their sort of sense of nationhood. This is very similar to what we would get in the United States or any other country in the world. You get these effects, right? It's one thing to argue with your cousin. It's another thing when somebody comes in and beats up your cousin, and then you stand up for him.
So we see this from they're away across the ocean. It's way away from us. All of that's going on. With what's happening here recently, are we more safe, or are we as safe or about the same that we've ever been, considering the instability of that region?
Well, you mean safe in terms of terrorist attacks in the United States?
Right.
I don't know of any evidence suggesting that Iran has a substantial proxy terrorist network in the United States. But we do know that, Iran has got, particularly around the Middle East, but also perhaps in Europe, they've had, they have people that they can turn to do bad things. But this is strongest in the Middle East. But you can't rule anything out. I mean, who would have thought in 2001 that a bunch of people with carpet cutters on airplanes would kill 3,000 people?
Good point. A little bit more than a year left in this current administration, assuming that there will be another one if there isn't. What do you think this administration is going to be known for? You said 20 years in the Middle East policy has not been very good. What about the last 3?
Well, I fear that unless there is some sort of breakthrough, and it doesn't have to be for a complete agreement, but some sort of breakthrough in terms of movement towards some sort of better relationship between the United States and Iran, and between Iran and its neighbors, notably Saudi Arabia. I fear that the legacy of the Trump administration might well be that they took a bad situation and made it worse.
Joe Barnes, thank you for your insight. We'll have you come back when there's more to talk about, and I think there will be.
There's always more to talk about.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.